to sort of backtrack a little bit and follow up on something you said about how you wrote about domestic violence, among other things, and how you can get a special type of information from poetry that is different from what you can get from prose. And I'm wondering if we can characterize that special type of information.
It's an information that has something to do with music. It's an information that has something to do with something that we know we didn't know. I grew up in love with a singer by the name of Anita Baker, who's from Detroit. And she, I loved her songs, but I didn't have any idea. But what's interesting is, in every song, I knew if the song was happy or if it was sad, or I knew if there was a lament. I knew when ecstasy came about in the song, but that doesn't mean I knew the words to the song. And so the music that is in poetry is a similar communication, right? Where we have an understanding of mood and movement. That is not to say that words in poems do not communicate. Indeed they do, but they communicate in this way that has to do with the sentence being manipulated into song.
I wanted to ask you about your new work, New Testament. I wonder if you wanted to talk a little bit more about, you talked about issues of music and domestic violence in Please. Are you still tangling with those issues?
No, actually, after I finished Please, I made a list of words that I would never use. And then, and not so much never use again, but definitely never use over the next few years as I was writing. And when I saw myself moving toward those words, I would try in the process of writing to move beyond or around, or to see, well, this isn't what I want to do anymore. And that doesn't have to do with stifling myself in any way. On the contrary, I think it has to do with the fact that I'm an artist and I want to know what else is in my body, what else is in my mind, what else can I do? And the fun for me, and the fun for any artist, is covering new ground, doing the new thing, exploring what has yet to be explored. And I did the exploration of that intersection I talked about between love and violence in Please. And so I want to do with this book, what I've wanted to do is a different kind of exploration.
Is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret at all. It's not that it's a secret, it's just that I'm going to talk about it right now, as a matter of fact. But I'm thinking, like, it's a weird thing. Like, why didn't I just volunteer? Well, what is the day? What's the exploration, Jericho? No, I think it's that the book is still in the body. Like, as long as I have the opportunity to touch and form and change the book, which is like up until galleys, you know what I mean? Then I think that whatever idea I have about the book may not yet be true, right? And so there are poems in the book. I can tell you, I can give you the speech, right? It's a book about brotherhood. It's a book about sibling rivalry. And it's a book that is trying to it's a book that is trying to have a discussion about race and about blackness by talking about brotherhood. And it uses as its artifice the Bible. There is a section of the book called the Old Testament, a section called Beatitude, and a section called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And those three sections become, for me, my way of getting at this larger thing that I really am trying to get at. Now, did I know I was trying to get at this larger thing while I was writing the poems? Not really. I mean, I was probably 40 pages in before I figured that out, Why? the New Testament. Why the Bible is artifice? Well, because it's something else I am familiar with. The way I'm familiar with music, it's something else that religion and evangelicism and the Bible itself have been were a large part of my life, and it continues to be a large part of everybody in this country's life, whether they know it or not. And so that was really important to me, and is still important to me. And so I have to make use of what's important to me, or what racks my brain, or what I'm trying to figure out or understand.
I was looking at these new poems in American Poetry Review, and there's a poem about Messiah Demery being shot. Is that your brother?
Messiah Demery is actually my cousin. He lived with us for a while as my brother, and he was shot. I found online that poem is actually completely taken from a text on a blog I found when I was just Googling his name one day. So lucky to have a cousin named Messiah, right? And then be a poet, right? And I remember when he was shot being just, the word I keep thinking is forlorn, you know? And, you know, this guy had written this really sort of demeaning article about all of these black men who were shooting and getting shot in Shreveport, Louisiana. And there's my cousin in that article. And I was so angry. And so I wanted to make use of what I found and make use of my anger and sort of turn that into a poem. And in the book, Messiah, I mean, this is a really good example of the kind of thing that that a poet does. I didn't grow up with a brother. I have a half brother, but I didn't grow up with him in the house. I grew up, part of the time that I grew up at least, Messiah was in the house. And so, but you know, cousin and brother have two different resonances in poems.
Yeah.
So why would you say cousin in a poem? Like, nobody cares, you know? And so you say brother, because that hits a feeling, right? And brother also has meanings outside of just being somebody's biological sibling, particularly in the African American community. Even though black men don't necessarily call one another brother as it seems they once did, or, you know, black men and women don't refer to each other as brother and sister as it seems that they once did. In spite of that, there's some knowledge in all of us that was once the case.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really fascinated by that. And part of what the book is trying to discover is, well, if that was the case, why isn't it the case anymore?